What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Best Family Homestead, and today we are going to be doing a little, I guess, Homestead 101. We're going to be talking about fresh eggs. Well, because of the big kind of overhaul and cleanup I'm doing around here, my ladies have been laying all kinds of random places, and I've been looking and finding all the eggs. As you see, my little terrorist copper there thinks that chickens want to be friends when in fact they do not. He wants to lick them, and that's what he does when he gets close enough. Alright, so as I was saying, all the little hidey holes under the wood and stuff, the chickens started laying under there, places, you know, in the storage building. Instead of their nice little nesting box there, well, some of them still lay there. You saw one hop out. But some of our newer ones haven't figured that out yet. So I've got all these eggs here that we have found, and most of them are pretty dirty. I'm not really sure how old. Some of them I know are fresher, some of them are not. So I'm going to show you guys how to check an egg and see if it is still viable and good to eat. Alright, so let me set all these out here and we'll be right back. Alright, so you can see we've got quite a few here, and you see where they where they were laying around, and sometimes a chicken will hop up and crack an egg, and it'll get on everything and it'll be gross. So I usually separate my eggs into a couple different categories when I do them. Well, it's a lot easier if you get 12 eggs a day, but in this case, if you have to go hunting on scavenger hunts, I'll just take all my cleanest eggs for preserving or for later, and then I'll put my dirty eggs over here for kind of the eat immediately pile, which most of these are eat immediately. Alright, now with fresh eggs, one of the important things is, well, if you want them to last a long time, do not wash them. You can take a paper towel, a dry paper towel, and you can lightly take off any dust or feathers, and I mean just barely. I'm not really pushing down. All I'm doing is basically using this as a duster. What many people may not know about eggs is if they have not been washed and they are in a fairly cool, dry place, eggs will last up to 6 months. If you put them like in the pantry, they'll last. I usually let them go 3 or 4 months. But I've come across eggs that like there's no way they're going to be good, is what I think, and then they do end up being just fine. Mama, meet one of my hens. She's the most annoying critter on the planet, and she's already been fed cat food and chicken food this morning. Mama, stop. These aren't yours. That's probably going to happen a few times. No. Like I said. I don't know where chicken timeout is, but she's about to go there. Don't do it. Stop. All right. So, now that we've got them all kind of wiped off, all right, so we got us a little bit more water here, and I've dusted off the eggs and cleaned them. Now this is something you can do without hurting the eggs, because you can kind of see how some of these eggs are a little bit darker, which some of it's just the breed, but like with the Americanas, what you see turning dark here is there's a membrane, a protective membrane over these eggs that seal out any kind of oxygen, any air, outside air from getting in to have it turn bad. So that's the reason you don't want to wash them, because it takes that membrane off. Then you have to put them in the refrigerator, and they won't last but maybe, you know, a few weeks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop them in my water. And I need to go get, oh, here we go. Okay. Now I'm not going to wash them off. I'm just briefly going to dip them. Now you notice this egg is down and sunk to the bottom. It might kind of want to be tipping up, but this egg is good. Now I'm very carefully going to pull it up and let it air dry. I am not going to, whatever I am, I'm not going to rub this thing or wipe it, because I don't want to break that membrane. I'm simply going to drop it. Now when an egg kind of seems like it wants to tip up on its side a little bit, it's still good unless the egg floats all the way up end on end or floats in the water, and I'm waiting for one of those. That egg is still good. It just needs to be put in the eat a little bit faster area. See, that one's up a little bit at an angle, but it's going to go over here in the eat sooner. See, a lot of these are right on. All right, now see that one, you see how it kind of wanted to bobble up a little bit. That one's still good if it's eaten fairly quickly. I didn't think many of these would be good at all, because like I said, I don't know how long a lot of these have been out. All right, well, let's finish floating all these eggs, and we'll decide what we're going to do with them. All right, so right here's an example. I've been trying to, a lot of these are a lot better than I thought they would be. But if you look, see how that egg is upright and starting to break the surface there? instead of just sinking all the way down to the bottom like that one and laying there. You see how it's floating up on its end? If an egg is doing that, it's close to bad, and if it breaks the surface like this, it starts to float, it's definitely bad. So there's really only a couple right here, and a lot of these we'll see, I might boil them here in a few minutes. Something had gotten in there and busted a few eggs. Yeah, see this one too, this one being up on its end. You know, it's not floating flat, so you could eat it, you know, in the next few days. But something had busted a bunch of these eggs, and so there's egg yolks, and they're really vile. So these will, actually these I can go ahead and just put in, not the bad ones, but these I will put in the water and actually wash off real good here in just a minute. For breakfast another day, but that way I can wash them and put them in the fridge, and they're going to be nice clean eggs. So it looks like there might be a few of these that are iffy. Then you can see the difference between the ones that are right now at the end of their life as far as being edible, because they bounce around, they'll kind of want to float, and then the ones that are good, they just kind of sink to the bottom and roll around. Alright, so that's just a quick down and dirty on how to check your egg and see if it's good. Now that works with store-bought eggs or fresh eggs, either one. You can float test any egg, and if it floats, it's bad. If it doesn't float, it's good. Now, a lot of my cleanest eggs, I've been trying to sort them here, are going over here. And like I said, the ones that are a little bit dirtier, good job there, Mama. I've got these, I think they're deviled egg cartons, I'm not sure. My mom found these, somebody found these. What I'm gonna do, like I said, I water tested these, but I did not rub them, did not actually wash them at all. I'm trying to handle them very carefully. I've got the lids somewhere for these. All right, so these are the ones that were a little bit beyond what I wanted to keep to eat. And I've got these, you can see they're dirty, but you're like, how do you use eggs with chicken poop on them? Before I use them, I'm gonna wash them in the sink. I'm just not gonna wash them till before I need to use them. So no, I'm not gonna take this egg with chicken poop and feathers and crack it straight into the bowl. I've never understood that question. Like, yes, well, before I take this egg and put it in my bowl or whatever I'm cooking with, I'm gonna put it in the water and wash it. Because at that point, I don't care if it stays good anymore. I wanna eat it. Some of the weird things you hear. All right, so now I'm gonna get a couple more things set up and show you guys what you do if you already have a dozen and then some, probably 2.5 dozen here. My family doesn't eat that many eggs. And this is probably, looking at how good they're all floating, this isn't but 3 or 4 days worth. Since they're not laying in my hen house right now, and they're laying around on the ground, I've got little places I've found where broken eggs and critters have got them and whatnot. So I think I have 16 or 17 laying hens. So any given day I'll get 12. You know, I'll get a dozen a day once they start laying all in their hen house again. I can't eat that many eggs. And we only have 3 kids at home now, or 1 kid at home. There's only 3 of us. They'll last 3 or 4 months, sitting on the counter. Well, in 3 or 4 months, I'll end up with even giving them away with like 10 dozen eggs on the counter. I'm gonna show you guys an easy way to preserve them to make them last much longer and kind of something that you can always have on the shelf if you time it right. All right, so I finally got all my stuff I need rounded up, and I'm going to show you guys how to water glass your eggs. Water glassing is nothing more than taking some pickling lime and a jar. It doesn't really matter as long as the jar is airtight. I can use a mason jars work great. The half gallons hold around 12 or 13 eggs, depending on the size of your eggs, up to 18. And by water glassing eggs, you can have good fresh eggs for up to 18 months, a year to 18 months. So, you know, a nice staple for a year, shelf stable, and you can have eggs for a long time. That way, if something happens, your chickens stop laying, which they do seasonally sometimes, you'll still have good eggs. And it doesn't change the flavor or the consistency of the eggs like some other methods for preserving eggs. So all I'm going to do is, I've got my jar here. I'm filled up about halfway with water. And you fill it up halfway with water, just make it easier to drop your eggs in without breaking them. And the ratio for lime to water is 1 ounce per quart. 1 ounce of pickling lime is 4 level tablespoons. Might have to unclip my, yeah, let's make this a little bit easier, huh? My daughter obviously got these so since there's 2 quarts and a half gallon mason jar, we are going to put 8. I really don't like these spoons because they are hard to get in the bag. I think I might be adding an extra tablespoon here, but it won't really make that much difference. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stir this up real good and try and get all my lime dissolved. Now, I don't know, this is just me talking. I really don't know because I've never really had city water, but may not want to use chlorinated water, any kind of treated water for this. Probably purified or something like that would be the best. Or like a spring water, well water. I'm not sure that the extra chemicals would mess with anything. All right, so I've got my lime and water mixed up. Now I've got my eggs, and these are all my best eggs, my cleanest eggs. Ideally you want them as clean as possible, but remember, you can't wash them. And remember, you cannot, and you're supposed to put them pointy side down, but they're kind of going to do what they want to do. I'm using all the cleanest eggs I have. Some of them are a little bit dirty, but doesn't matter. Now remember, you cannot wash these. Remember, you do not wash them because it takes that membrane off, and you cannot water glass store-bought eggs. I want to put as many eggs in here as I can so that there's less, there we go. We don't want them to have a lot of room to move around. And I want to fill my water level all the way up because I want as no air in this jar. All right, so now I probably should have mixed that lime up a little bit better. Not taking as much time as I should have. But now I've got my lime in my pickling jars with my eggs. Now the way this works is, like I said, there's that protective membrane, and the lime reacts with that membrane and the calcium in the shell, and it basically what it does, it creates a super hard barrier, a lime barrier on the egg. Excuse me. My chickens are mad at me for taking all the eggs. But it creates a super hard barrier that air can't get into, and especially being in the water, you know, it's keeps any air and bacteria out to cause the eggs to go bad. And you can actually see a little bit of the chemical reaction in here right now with the lime reacting with the calcium. And it's just putting a nice hard layer of protection on the eggs. So, there you have it. You can have eggs for a year to 18 months, even longer. If you think one might have been cracked, or you think something might be wrong with the eggs, all you have to do is float them again when you get them out, and it'll let you know if they're bad or not. So, I've got these other eggs here. Now these eggs, like I said, you know, I didn't wash. I'm gonna go put the lid on them and set them on the counter, and they're gonna be good for, you know, 2 months or so. One of the important things I almost skipped over with your jars, I'm gonna get a Sharpie right now before I forget, as soon as I get done with this, and make sure and write the date on your jars, and that way you can keep them rotated and keep your oldest jars to the front, put your newer jars to the back, and you don't have to worry about eating the new ones first. Now, I have seen some stuff where people are like, oh, you have to use eggs a day old. It's really not true. These are all probably anywhere between 1 to 2 or 3 weeks old. As long as they're good, you can use any fresh egg, as long as you float test them and they're not bad. All right, so 1 ounce of pickling lime per quart of water. Do not wash. You can water test, but do not rub and wash. Use the cleanest ones you have, and don't use an egg that floats. That's pretty much it. All right, guys, well, there's Aaron's basic egg 101. If you have any questions, just PM me and or put it in the comments, and I will do my best to get back and answer. And other than that, thanks for watching. Make sure and like, subscribe, and share, because now that I'm getting much further along on the cleanup and infrastructure here on the homestead, there's going to be a lot more homesteading type videos with good information in them. All right, everybody, have a nice day.